Gentlemen, you are both drunk on cosmic wine.
Welcome to the show. I'm Dr. Mark Sylvester.
And I'm Dr. Richard Schulman. This is Alt Psych.
Welcome, everyone, to Alt Psych. Today, we have a very special guest, Dr. Susan Caroline. She's an author, an inspirational speaker, spiritual health consultant, and a philosopher. Oh, a philosopher. That is a deep word.
He really ate his Wheaties today, didn't he?
20 years experience helping people tap into their true potential through learning to develop intuition and living a consciousness-centered lifestyle for their body, mind, and spirit. Who could be more perfect for the show than Dr. Susan Caroline? Let's please, everyone, welcome her with a warm round of applause. Sorry. Our live studio audience isn't here, because of COVID or whatnot. Yeah. So welcome, Rich.
Hey, Susan.
Some questions.
Good to see you. How did you get into this metaphysical world?
Well, I came out of many people do. I came out of a really traditional type background, and I always had an interest in deeper things. I know many people will grow up in traditional type church background, and we're left oftentimes thinking, okay, surely there must be more. So I just started studying a lot more, and I went to the University of Metaphysics, and then I went on to the University of Sedona and studied all about different metaphysical concepts, whether it's some Buddhism, some all the different paths of yoga, and just metaphysical philosophy in general. And I've always had an interest in it. Even as a small kid, I would think to myself, I think there's something more going on that meets the eye. I'm sure we've all experienced aha moments when we think that, wow, there's something more to me. And I can remember when I was a kid, at the bottom of our yard in England where I lived, there was this abandoned railroad track which had a river running through, running next to it parallel, and I would actually lose myself for hours, as a kid walking down this railroad track. And I can remember one time in particular thinking, oh my God, I'm not alone. There is something bigger going out. It was almost like there was someone else peeking out through my eyes, and I'm like, what is this? And I thought, it didn't dawn on me until years later that actually each of us are more than just a mind and a body. We have a consciousness. So that's how I got interested in it.
So that was like a transcendent moment that left an indelible mark on your memory from your childhood.
Yeah, it did. I always
cool.
was even as a little kid, I was a real spiritual kid. I would often be sitting out talking to my friends and saying, so what do you think, why do you think we're here on this planet? And they would just be like, I don't know, let's go jump rope.
I did the same thing. And, I'm thinking about my friend's kid, when he was 3, said to his father at dinner, hey, remember when we lived in Alaska and I was the daddy? I got a question for you. I think for our viewers out there, what is your definition of metaphysics?
Okay, that's great, because I get asked that and people go, oh, you're talking about tarot cards? Are you talking about crystals? What are you talking about? And for me, well, today's, people will often associate that with metaphysics. Really, if you think about metaphysical people like Marcus Aurelius and all the great philosophers, metaphysics was not that, So you think about this, we have our physical body, what we all live in, you can see my hands and everything. And then we have our psychological body, which would be our mind, will, our emotions. And then we have our metaphysical self, which is really who we are. If you think about metaphysics, it comes from 2 Greek words, meta, physical. So meta would be beyond the physical. So it's everything that's beyond the physical thing. Is basically a study of the nature of reality. And if you think about this, every one of us have had metaphysical moments where we think to ourselves, why are we here? is there a higher intelligence, you know, like AKA God? Is there more? Is there life after death? It's all these things which, you know, like many times people will put off. If you love spiritual things, those are the questions that you ask yourself all the time, and it takes you down this amazing rabbit hole of like fun. But to me, that's what metaphysics is. It's like the nature of reality and studying it. We're always learning and growing. So it's not so much a modality like, well, I do tarot cards or I have a crystal. It's more
Right.
like the nature and study of, in my definition, of reality and why we're here. What are we doing here? And, you know, like for everybody who's listening, it's like, why are you here? What's your purpose? Because if you're listening right now, you're probably really interested in metaphysical concepts and the nature of reality, listening to Dr. Mark and Rich. So metaphysics, if you're interested in spiritual things, you're metaphysical, in my opinion.
You know, and I had a similar childhood when I was very interested in learning about the world and learning about my place in the world and learning about the unseen world and all of that. We're in a different and unique time right now. And I'm seeing my patients for the first time in their lives actually asking metaphysical questions or struggling with metaphysical principles under the surface that they may not even really know, but they know the world's not right. They sense that, you know, the stress crucible that everyone is living under. Do you believe this is the beginning of the cosmic shift in metaphysical thinking, because people are actually finally seeing so much more of the world in a way that they don't want to see, that it's going to help effectively spiritually extrude them into a metaphysical or spiritual or religious? But tell me that this is worth it. It's not all for nothing.
No, I think it definitely is. I think we're in the middle of like a huge spiritual awakening right now. And I think too that I just saw someone the other day post, you know, one of the pages I follow, that there's a second wave of spiritual awakening coming. Many times, you know, people think like the Mayan calendar, it ended in 2012, but there's all sorts of speculation on that was the beginning. We think, oh, it's the end of the world as we know it. And, you know, those movies came out, the apocalyptic movies of the end of the world. But really, it's almost like people think it was the end of the age. And it's very interesting, actually. Like one of the things which Christ talked about was, he said, right before the whole him going to his death, he said, I want you to follow the man bearing the pitcher of water who's going to take you into the upper room. And many people actually think that that symbolism wasn't just, you know, just actually follow a physical person going into the upper room. It actually meant like the age of Aquarius, because of coming out from the age of Pisces, going into the age of Aquarius, which is the water bearer, and upper room is higher states of consciousness. So I think what many people are waking up to, wow, there is more to me. And just movies like The Matrix, which are basically unplugging out the system. Everybody loved The Matrix, and people don't, you know, why did The Matrix get to me so much? Was it really sci-fi? People are realizing that the reason why it resonated with them so much was that they all felt, wow, the world as we know it isn't right. There's more to this world. We're living in almost like this dreamlike state. And when you start to wake up and realize, I'm a metaphysical being. I'm not just a mind. I'm not just a body. I actually have this consciousness. I have this awareness. And when I speak to people and I help them to understand, you know, that they are the thinker behind their thoughts, and they can actually drive their mind rather than their mind drive them. Like, you know, spiritual teachers like Eckhart Tolle, you know, they've done lots of work in helping people realize that they're not their mind, that they're actually the observer. So all that stuff, I think, is just absolutely fascinating. So I think it's cool that, you know, that all your patients too, they are like, you know, Dr. Sylvester, I feel there's something more going on. And the fact that I'm meeting more and more people that are accepting this and realizing there is more, rather than just the traditional concept that we've been taught, people actually questioning and waking up. And what that says to me is you cannot wake somebody up to this. It's like it has to come from within. You can talk to them as much as you want, and I'll look at you like you're a crazy person. I'm finding now less and less people look at me like I'm a crazy person, and they realize you're actually sane, Susan. I'm feeling this, and I'm meeting more and more people. Like, I realize I'm more than just a mind. I'm more than just a body. There is so much more going on, and it's a great time to be alive, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Well, 100 years ago, Rudolf Steiner, who, I don't know if you've ever read him. If you haven't, he's great. He was an anthroposophist. I can't remember. I can't get the name, but it was the mystery schools of the time. And he said there was going to be a 30-year window starting around 2016, where there'd be a war between the spiritually minded people and scientific materialism. I think we're right in the middle of it now. And I think that every time something gets censored on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or something, it wakes somebody up.
Yeah.
You know, and that I think that we're in the middle of that war, and you might be experiencing it right in front of you. I know I am. You know, the patients that see Mark Sylvester and myself are not so likely to just accept the conventional.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you're probably in the same place.
They're searching for meaning, I guess, is another. You know, they need meaning in the world as it is now, because it's just too much. When you add it all up, people are really struggling with what's the purpose? Why is this happening? Where do I fit in? What's the meaning?
Absolutely. You know, and I was thinking that, you know, what's happening, I think, is a lot of people are realizing, you know, like Rich, you're talking about the science thing, like, you know, authors like Greg Braden and Dr. Joe Dispensa. I'm sure you guys are familiar with them. They have done lots of work, like especially, you know, Dr. Joe helping people with health problems by tapping into like a higher intelligence, and rather than it being like something spooky like out there, is actually science. And I think what the mystics have been trying to say throughout the ages, it's like coming together now, and it's like so exciting. Like, I've taught workshops in the past on tapping into your intuition, and it's amazing because at the end of the hour I actually do exercises to help people, you know, pick up on things, and, you know, pick up on other people in the room and what's going on in their lives. And it's really remarkable. I like it. We're in this, you know, super information highway, you know, just like I'm talking to you guys, you know, from miles away, and you can see me because of signals and frequencies going on. Like, there's, you know, all these vibrations going on through the airways and frequencies, and just like whoever's watching this right now, you guys are seeing us all because of frequencies, invisible frequencies flying through the airways right now. And you can actually pick up on those things for yourself to help you in your everyday life because of the infinite intelligence that runs through our, you know, through all of creation, is always talking to us if we just want to listen. It's always speaking and saying things, just like we were talking before the show started about you two connecting. There's things going on behind the scenes, and when you think about how you can just jump into this amazing river of information that's flowing, and you get into this river and it will take you and guide you rather than you like swimming against it. And I'm speaking to myself here because many times we try to make things happen in our own human intellect, but when something's inspired, it like flows easily and it takes you in places like, how did I wind up here? This is awesome, you know?
Yeah, one of our other partners, one of his favorite sayings besides "be well" is "we're in the flow." You know, when it seems like we're tapped into that right frequency and that energy. So is that where intuition comes from?
I think so. Like, I kind of like when I do my workshops on intuition, I explain it like I normally hold up. I don't have my cell phone, so I'm using it here. So just suppose this is a rather large cell phone. So I'll explain here, right? If I have this, and you can't actually text on an iPad, if you have the right signal, if you're dialed in, like if I have my phone, if you know my phone number, you can call me. It's gonna, you're gonna, you know, be able to reach me, and I'm going to be able to reach you. And it's the same way, I think, with intuition. We have all of this information going through, and you can actually train yourself to hear things. And like one of the things for me, which I use is, you know, everyone will always talk about this, meditation. Everyone goes, the M word again, meditation, you know? And I'm like, well, yeah, because of learning how to be still and get quiet, you're able to start listening in and tapping in, so you know intuitively, you know, information that you might not otherwise, you know.
Well,
So,
and the way I think of it is you're shutting off the busy mind, then getting it out of the way. You know, it's a two-part
exactly.
thing, right? Like you gotta quell the monkey mind, so to speak, before you can really
Yeah,
tune in and drop
for
out. Oh
sure.
no, wait, that was acid. Never mind. But
Absolutely.
Rich, you got a question?
Um,
I could do this all day. I have terrific questions, and I love the way
I
you
have a
explain.
question, but you know, if you have good questions, here's my question. What I run into a lot in doing therapy, deep therapy with people who've had childhood trauma, is that the childhood trauma is encoded in a very similar way, frequency-wise, to the spiritual experience. Do you run into that too?
you know, I haven't dealt particularly with childhood trauma myself. My husband, actually, his father was a medical doctor who was murdered by one of his patients. And he's had to deal with a lot of trauma of that over his life. And it's definitely comes up. It's like his repeating theme, even though
Yeah.
it was many years ago. And I think too that when people go through trauma, I went through like a real spiritual trauma from some really bad spiritual experiences I had, and it would take me like by surprise. I'd be driving past a particular place in town where these things happened, and I wasn't even thinking about it. But as I'd be going across the end of the road, suddenly I would feel that waves, you know, that emotion. And you know, really, emotion is energy in motion. And um, you know, it literally took me a long time to be able to overcome that trauma, because it wasn't something like I'm driving past, I'm going to make myself feel this way. It would just come over me. And I'm realizing more and more that we do store trauma in our bodies, you know. And I know that, you know, Dr. Joe Dispensa, he talks a lot about this, about people don't realize that they may be having a physical illness or issues or aches and their pain because if they experienced trauma in a certain way, whether it's emotional or whatever it was, or it may be a physical pain that wasn't fully healed and it was associated with a horrible situation. And then years later, they wonder why, like, why is my arm hurt or whatever is going on. So I have heard that, you know, that that energy can be stored in someone's body and come out in all sorts of ways. So having people like yourselves who are able to help people, you know, walk through that is just invaluable.
Yeah.
Well, in my experience, they're encoded similarly. And I'm wondering, because of what you said, in your teaching people how to access their intuition, do they get spiritually attacked when they open? Do you teach them how to defend themselves also?
You know, I've never really had that, because when I talk about that, I really talk about how what you're tapping into is love. Okay, like love is the highest frequency. So to me, like if you put yourself in that position of love, I've never had anybody experience anything bad at all. Everyone normally comes out feeling amazing, like I'm connecting with the absolute source of love, you know, and love is the highest frequency.
I'll bet you're protecting them.
I don't know about that. I always say at the end of my little videos, I always go, the power to transform your life, it's already within you. Because how I grew up, everybody always was saying, you've got to give your power away to this teacher or that person or whatever it is. So I think that, yes, I love learning from people's wisdom. I love, you know, learning from different mentors and people who have a lot more from me. And my mentor, who since passed away, he would always say, if I ever like say, you got to listen to what I say, do what I do, and everything in that way, and I start to have this really strong guru mentality, like he says, run. He said, because the power truly is in every single person. And I think this is what we're seeing with this whole spiritual awakening, is that people are realizing the power was in me all along. You know, it's like the whole Wizard of Oz thing, where then she always had the power. She'd just click her heels and go back, you know? And it's the same when people start to realize that the very presence of infinite intelligence, God, whatever you want to call the source of this world, lives in every single person, and you can actually tap into that. People start to get excited because of they're never alone. They always have this inner guidance, this like true north that can point them.
And we had a guest, Dr. Miguel Rivera, talking about this recently, and he described that energy, that level that he downloads, I guess, wisdom from as the Hindu concept of prana.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's got to be universal. I know different cultures, religions, spiritual ethos, they all are going to give the best sampling of a universal truth, whether you call it, you know, Barney and Fred, or prana, or I don't know if we would call that our
Chi.
Chinese may call it the chi. It could be our astral bodies. I don't know. It's very interesting. When you're thinking on that level, it opens the door up to a whole lot of other concepts that don't really have an explanation yet. But now, that explanation seems like it's pretty viable. And then, of course, where the rubber hits the road, I mean, I see this all the time, but really, you know, Dr. Schulman there is the one that's actually able to heal with it.
That's wonderful.
Well, trauma stored in someone's body.
You know, I don't know. This is just the way I think about it. Mind, body, heart, spirit, they all happen like that. And separating it doesn't seem like a particularly good idea to me, you know, because, you know, we're working on so many levels. What I'm interested in actually is when you said that you help people to access their intuition. What kind of things do you do to facilitate that?
Okay, well, what we'll do many times is, you know, I normally, like when I've done these workshops, I'll say, I say, we're always going to keep this positive, okay? We're going to keep this positive. So is there somebody here who would like to volunteer? Would you like to volunteer? So this, you know, I explain about intuition and how the greats have, like Steve Jobs and Albert Einstein, all these other people, they have often used intuition. I'll say, so would anybody like to receive like a lot of positive energy? A lot of, you know, so most people, almost everyone goes, yeah, I want positive energy, you know. So I normally will pick somebody, but I won't tell them who it is. And I'll say, okay, then what we're going to do, what I'd like everybody to do is just take about 5 minutes and let's write down some things without telling you what. Let's just tap in and let's just write down some things which come to you, something that would maybe really encourage this particular individual. And of course, they don't know who the individual is, that really encourage them and lift them up and help them in their life. So only positive things. We're not going to put anything negative, right? And normally it will actually turn into a story. I've seen this many times. Like someone will say, well, I see someone sitting on a park bench, and then, you know, and they're thinking about this certain thing. And the next person will say, well, I've seen something like, I'll see like a golden shining light or something like that. And it's a spotlight. And then somebody else will say, and there's like 3 colored things. And of course, nobody knows what the other person is writing down. And the only person that knows, you know, is the volunteer of who this is about. So then she'll say, okay, volunteer, who are you? You know, it's the mystery person. They'll raise their hand. I'll go, did any of this make sense to you? and they'll be like, oh my gosh. I'll literally, every time they'll be like, I was sitting at the park bench the other day thinking about the decision I had to make, and I was like, I need like a spotlight on what I'm going to do. And they'll literally be blown away, and everybody else in the room will be literally blown away because they have no idea what they're saying. The person is really encouraged, and many times not like it's definitely giving an answer. I find an intuition, it's not going to necessarily tell you what to do. It's going to confirm something that you already know. So if someone says to you, like literally, I've had someone said to me when I was pregnant with my first child, they said, they shall be a boy and you shall name him this. Well, she turned out to be a girl, and and I didn't want to name them the name they said. So normally it's not like something someone's telling you, it's going to confirm stuff that's already going on in your life, and you'll kind of have, yep, that's right, what I'm dealing with right now. And it kind of gives you clarity and also encouragement that we're not alone in this world. You know, there are powers out there, there is a force out there which is actually we can tap into, and it's really encouraging. I remember one time I was actually sitting at the Bonefish Grill, and there was this lady over there talking to her husband, and I said to my husband, oh gosh, oh my goodness, I think I'm supposed to say something to this woman. And he says, what are you going to say? I said, I have no idea. So anyway, I just think I'm supposed to say something to her. So we finished our meal, we paid. As we're walking out, I just stopped. I said, excuse me. And she said, yes. I said, I know this sounds kind of unusual. And as soon as I started speaking to her, I said, but I see you holding this rose, this beautiful, beautiful rose in your hand. And, you know, roses have thorns, and you're holding on to it so hard that it's causing you pain. I see, like, you know, you're bleeding from the thorns. I said, but I don't think you're, you know, I said, but don't let go, because this is beautiful. And as soon as I said that, boom, she started crying. She goes, I know exactly what you're talking about. She goes, it's my daughter. We've been at, you know, at odds with each other. And I said, I love her, and I am going to work through this no matter what. And I'm going to work through our relationship. And she just got up and hugged me in the middle of Bonefish Go. She goes, thank you so much. She goes, I just needed that, because I've really been in pain about this situation. And so sometimes when you can tune in, you can really help and encourage people who are going through difficult times. And we all know in this world, just shedding joy and encouragement and love and good vibrations, good energy to people. You don't know what you can do to actually change someone's day when you take love in your heart and you share it with everybody else. So I know that's sounds a little cheesy, I know, but it's
perfect.
You know.
No. I wrote a song for my son, and it's called Only Love Is Real. And that's what I believe. The rest of it is just, you know, like, it's not writing, it's typing, you know.
Didn't the Beatles say something like all you
they said all you need is love, and I say only love is real. Nothing else is real.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're on the same page there. You know.
Going back to frequency, energy, vibration, we were talking a little bit about that.
That's the Beach Boys, by the way, not the Beatles.
All You Need Is Love was the Beach Boys?
No, the Beach Boys is Good Vibration.
Oh, good.
That's right, yeah.
Touche. Tell us, I mean, I think all of our followers of Nikola Tesla really want to know, was he right?
Well, I absolutely think so. I mean, like what he says, when you want to
I
know
do
the
too.
secrets of
I do too.
Me too.
Yeah, if you want to know the secrets of the universe, you've got to think what energy, vibration, and frequency. Woo, absolutely. I mean, we are just, I think, touching the beginning of it. Like if you said to somebody, you know, 100 years ago, I have this amazing magical box, and when I press this button on this magical box, it's going to heat up your food, and, you know, you won't see it. It's like abracadabra, woo. And now we have a microwave nobody thinks about. It's completely invisible. And there's just, it's being heating up. Your food is being heated up by an invisible frequency, which is causing the food to vibrate, therefore making the food hot. And we don't think anything of it. But it's all around us. It's everywhere. The secrets of the universe. That's
So
just one
cool.
example.
Well, if only there was a place where you could put down all of your amazing ideas, maybe even put like a binding or a cover on it or something like that.
We
And
understand that
buy
you
it.
wrote a book.
People could go to buy it at any, at any place worth a damn who sells books. That would be what you call a plug and a lead in.
Well, I do have this book.
And the truth shall set you free.
Partnering with the universe.
Wow, that was like pulling teeth.
Pulling your teeth. She was ready.
Basically,
Tell me the book.
There is the book.
I love it.
That's great.
Partnering.
It's a partnering with the universe, tapping into the power that's already within you. And I do actually have a course coming out soon. I have a background in fitness as well, and called the Energetic Diet. So that's going to be about talking about energy and frequency, about many people who I would help lose weight. I realized that you had an energy problem, not a weight problem. I always say, if you're struggling with overweight, you do not have a weight problem. I said, what? You have an energy problem. So what we're going to do, we're going to teach you, rather than bringing energy from the outside to make you feel a certain way, we're going to bring the energy from the inside out, and it's going to change your outer body. So really, energy, frequency, and vibration, it's everything. It's everything.
I love it.
You know?
It's exciting, and it's an honor and a privilege to have you, Dr. Susan Caroline, on our show, which, you might as well plan your retirement, because here comes fame and stardom now that you've finally the old side.
Well, I really appreciate you guys having me. You guys are a lot of fun to talk to. I mean, I love talking about this subject. I just think it's what I do. I love it.
I have a feeling she's going to be back, don't you, Rich?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we just scratched the surface of this for all of us. There are things happening all over the place, but people are not connected. The idea that it's just a couple of us is wrong. There's a huge segment of the population that's already delving into this, but we don't hear about them because Big Pharma has all the ads in the major media. But I would, what I've read is about a quarter of the population is already sort of culturally creative and is ready for this kind of idea, organic food, transpersonal psychology, eco-friendly, spirituality rather than religion. And it's all going to come back to vibration and frequency. I have a band, and when we play, when the music hits just right, the music itself is a healer.
Absolutely.
Energy.
So it's about vibration and energy, and that's the medicine of the future. Our medicine now is great at failing.
Well,
we don't do well with chronic illness because we don't deal with this.
We are going to all change it. The change starts here, and it starts now.
Well, we're ready there. It sounds like you are too,
And
I really do appreciate how much you love this stuff and the love that you give to the people that you work with, because that is the ultimate healer. It's the ultimate vibration. So,
and thank you so much for your time. If you like what you heard today, make sure you click the link. I don't know how to do that. Let's be honest. Click a link somewhere, subscribe, friend, swipe right, follow us on somewhere. And
Instagram,
Facebook, YouTube.
Facebook.
What's the other one you do there, Rich?
I do Twitter too.
Anchor,
but buy Susan's book. Where can they get your book, Susan?
Well, I'm just going to actually relaunch it soon. It will be on Amazon coming up soon.
All right.
All right.
We'll pre-order
let
one
us know. We'll put a little note up for you.
I will when I
so
relaunch it.
All right, cool.
All right. And as usual, remember everyone, be well.
Be well. We almost got it that time.
Late.
Not quite.
Someday.
Good to see you. Bye now.
Konnichiwa.
Bye.